Praise the Lord that we have one at all. Ever think about that? Praise the Lord for existing. Thank you, God, you have, Lord. If you're me and my granny, we thought about it and we do it. Granny passed 2006. I'm here at the homeless shelter redoing my intro. This is a good video on how Eleanor Roosevelt, I believe, could be dealing with my second stepdad. I hope this makes a smile on your face and brings you strength. I started this video, most videos right outside. So I'll just jump to, I had to redo the intro because there's a loud noise. And I know if there's a loud noise at the beginning, it'll just get higher views if I redo the intro. So I did that. Let's just jump to the rest of the video. But I like this aquarium because it's like a good symbolic thing of like, I really appreciate all the silent majority, all you people. I had 357,000 impressions, which means my YouTube video thumbnails were seen over 57,000 times in about the year that I've been doing videos. I'm doing them for a while, but basically consistently like this through this experience right here. But this ocean aquarium is kind of like, I know that there are people, I said in another video, I was like, you know, whales can get from like the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea if they want to, right? And for a lot of people that are learning about me and hear my story, it's like there's nothing that you can like really put. Maybe you're from a small town and you've always lived there. And you're in Canada. I get a lot of people in Canada. Hey, Canada. Like you Canadian people. A lot of support from you guys. But around the world, people generally just can't really grasp everything I'm going through. And, you know, this ocean aquarium is just like a good symbol. It's like, you know, there's not whales in there, but there's fish in there from the ocean. It says ocean aquarium. I can believe that. So, you know, the little fish in there, all they say is that little fish tank, but that's probably where they were born. Maybe their grandma was born in the Indian Ocean, great grandma times 10, whatever. You know, but like now they're aquarium fish, an ocean aquarium. Anyway, basically, I appreciate the people who are sticking in there and like, I'm gonna watch this video because I watched another one. Right, so shout out to you people. And in this video, we are gonna be dealing with how I'm not even dealing with my second stepdad, Richard, and how Eleanor Roosevelt could be. Are you excited? I am. Okay, as much as I can get. All right, so in this video, basically, you know, my life has got like a lot of problems that were created by my boomer parents. And it's why I can't like if I had, you know, relationship with the man I'm in love with, like a real one, like we were together, like physically together, like he was standing right here, we could actually be standing in like Paris right now. There's no reason that could not happen if it weren't for like, he was already in a relationship, technically, kind of was when we met, but he also is not now, and he's got crazy boomer parents too. So, for them reasons, we are kind of like united in like, we have crazy lives, but we're like, standing right by each other's side virtually as much as we can be. Talked to him yesterday morning, and he was like, you hang in there. So I am. Basically, let's talk about a problem that's a huge problem, and for most people this problem would probably be like front and center of like everything else, but like for me, this is like a like way back on the shelf problem, but it's still a big problem. What I'm talking about is my mother got divorced again when she went to Saudi Arabia because she lost her nursing license to practice nursing in the United States of America for stealing ICU crash cart meds that she was trying to use to kill me because she stopped believing all her dreams in 2012. So I moved to West Virginia, and then I got out of West Virginia 5 times. I was promoted across the country to DISH in 366 days, and then the global pandemic happened. Then I worked 16 more jobs. But during all this time, back in like 2015, my mother got divorced in Saudi Arabia, and she fell in love in like 2 seconds with a Saudi Arabian arms dealer. Technically, he's born in Great Britain, and he lived in Switzerland for 43 years. His name's Richard. He knows English, but I don't think he knows a lot of common sense, and I don't think he believed in my mother remembering any of it. I really do believe that's true. Don't have any specific technical, like I got the facts, like here's like, you know, the receipts that Whitney Houston would want. I don't have that, but I have like just, you know, an alarming view of like, what are the facts and the way things happen. They fell in love in 2015, like 2 seconds after she got divorced. They were in love, and then they got engaged, and then like right within blasted not enough amount of time, They were at the Florida courthouse getting married. And in this country, you cannot know the difference between South Carolina and South Dakota. And Florida would be like, you just got here yesterday, welcome to America, your marriage seems legit. Like, New Jersey probably does the same thing, even in California, I bet we do the same thing. And it does have a bad taste in my mouth with like Vietnam War, and like my father stealing $20,000 for the mural project. It's supposed to honor U.S. veterans for Vietnam, and still doesn't exist, and now doesn't need his participation because he stole the money and he's sleeping with a 7-year-old boy, so we don't need his participation in that, except for prison sentence for stealing the money and sleeping with a 7-year-old. You know, right? Nathan's right. Okay, so let's talk about the problem that's... Before we talk about a problem, let's just talk about this sound. When you hear that sound, that's the iMovie sound clip for data transfer. Seems like a great way to say, we can pray. When you hear that sound, and see the words, we can pray. It feel good watching the video and praying. Basically, my mom married a Saudi Arabian arms dealer. One huge problem, it's clearly a problem. It's also an indication that this is another problem. The second one I'm talking about. First problem is he's got 2 kids in 2 different continents. They can't even drive to each other if they wanted to. I don't know if they talk to each other, but we've never been able to talk to them, ever. My mom was like, quit making a big deal out of trying to talk to Robin and Isla. I'm like, it's a huge deal. If I can't get to know the family you married into, again, the second new family, like, that's a problem. It's a problem. It's an indication that the second problem is probably more spot on, which is, I think Richard, because he's a Saudi Arabian arms dealer, probably lots of secrets, and just being a Saudi Arabian arms dealer, you probably amass like enemies, and just it's probably likely that Richard was just like in love instantly, because he was instantly in love with who my mom was, a multiple homeowner getting divorced in Saudi Arabia, right? She's from America, so like that collection of events and facts is probably why Richard was suddenly in love all of a sudden. My guess. The way they met, by the way, according to my mom in 2015, she can remember then. It's important for me to be as accurate as I can with like dates and things like that. Due to what that's doing, it is. They met in 2015. She was telling us the story of how they met in 2016. The way they met was she was at like a street festival, kind of like this street here, but like in Saudi Arabia, like in Aladdin, when Aladdin comes in the cartoon, when he comes in on the elephant, and just like, you know, it's kind of like one of them type of events, because it was nighttime in Riyadh. And my mom was like, you know, she was like, yeah, all covered up except for her eyeballs with like other white women, like from Great Britain and in Europe. Another little interruption, but just for some social commentary or whatever, I'm talking about this probably on CNN. It's frustrating how like we talk about energy independence in this country, and in Saudi Arabia, basically unlimited amount of oil. They are never going to be healthcare independent. The country does not allow their women to have the ability to be nurses. We should pray for Saudi Arabia. Her nurse friends there, they were like eating apricots or dates or something, and like being at this festival, and that's when Richard saw my mom, walked by her 3 times, and was like, I gotta have that little lady right now. That's according to my mom how it happened. So you tell me. Anyway, I think that Richard already knew exactly which of the 3 women he wanted. It was my mom. And like this is the second huge problem. Star of the show, the video. It's like my mom can't remember anything, and she probably could remember things if she didn't marry Richard. I bet those 2 things are super related. They went to the Mediterranean Sea, like on the coast of like Monaco. They were like dancing. And then here comes 2021, and my mom tells me I can't remember anything that happened before 2020. And like she can. So huge problem. Directly also kind of like correlated to like why I'm homeless. My parents, if my mom even wanted to help, but she can't. Like, you know what I mean? She can't. Like she's it's a crippling, bad situation. She can't remember anything. It affects like my brother, and like anything happens in his life, or that already did happen in his life. Like, mom, what's my blood type? Well, she used to be a nurse. She used to, like, she would know that stuff really good. Now she might not know what a blood type is. Like, it would just be, you know, it's just so bad. Think about beyond just me. Like, I have a brother. He's not helping. He could be helping, but you know, even if I die, like, this situation is going to continue to affect him. You should care about that. We should. But basically, I'm mad at Richard because I believe Richard had something to do. Like the main cause was the head bitch in charge of my mom forgetting everything. That's what I believe. Not a proof, but like solidly believe that. And Richard also was never really loving and caring to me at all, ever. Like at any point, like just we should get a second stepdad. Like, it's a shitty person. Shout out to the stepdads that are second and not shitty. If you exist, happy Father's Day. Just keep on being great if you can be. But for my case, and others that I know, second stepdads are just not, they ain't the world's best dad at all. Okay, I don't want to get any like, homeless people don't like their being in videos and stuff, so I'm trying to be respectful of that. But let's talk about, where I want to go. How about right here? So let's talk about like how I foresee Eleanor Roosevelt dealing with Richard. It's the best way I can like mentally deal with this problem. Like, I can't, and I do like to think that there would be a day when like maybe it all comes back for my mom, like it came back for Celine Dion. I mean, it's unlikely that will happen, but it's good to think positive, and it's good to think, because I've been homeless coast to coast. I'm homeless in Georgia, and I'm now homeless in California. Yep. I went back to West Virginia, back to the father that made me homeless. Found out he's a child molester. I can't be in West Virginia for a lot of reasons. I was kidnapped there. I left that, and I came into Colorado. I was working. I did that job, and everything good got sucked away because someone else who said I could stay there said I couldn't stay there anymore, and I had already taken everything I owned to the job multiple times. There was 2 other homeless people that worked there. It just got to where I was going to get so mad and still be so mad, and I still am mad. It's better that I am in California, over 1,000 miles from Denver, so Josh Eves can just keep on being that way without me around at all. So, I'm mad at Richard for existing in my mother's presence at any time. And I'm mad, I mean, I have to be mad at my mom too for like getting divorced in Saudi Arabia. But I'm trying to like turn a new leaf on. I'm trying to like just hope and sprinkle in good thoughts and positive futures, and just, you can believe in something before it can happen. You know, like, so I get to believe that my mother, you know, I'll come back to her. So, you know, she used to be in the 2000s and early 2010s. My mother was a self-proclaimed keeper of all knowledge. She knew everything. She was, I think she, like, we were teenagers, and she was trying to, I think it was, you know, a cutesy way, but maybe it went a little too far, because she was, you know, she was always trying to say, like, you know, you don't think I know, but I know. And then she did find out about Stevie, my first love. I was 19 and he was 42, and she did a good job as a good mother, and she did, so we were dating over a year, and I was having Christmas dinner with my mom at Olive Garden, and we had a good long 2-hour dinner, and then at the end of it, she's like, we're getting ready to leave. She's like, how's Stephen? And I'm like, oh, how'd she know? She knew, and she was doing a good job about that time, trying to make sure Stephen, you know, she knew he was probably older, and she was like, you let me know in the Rita K kind of way, how, like, she ended up backing off that, because Stevie turned out to be way better for me than she was, and she knew that. It's sad it happened, and we should be praying and caring for Stevie, who's in Virginia, and he's fighting cancer. Stevie is the one that gave me pepper spray and thermal underwear and money from time to time, like 10, 20 bucks here and there, when I needed pepper spray, thermal underwear, and 10 to 20 bucks here and there. My mother is the one that laughed at me on Thanksgiving last year for still being homeless. So, you understand what I mean? My mother knew she was, you know, needed to back off from me and Stevie, because Stevie was better for me. Okay? But I like to think that my mother I've said before in other videos, like the video, the Boomer Roundup, which got more information about Richard and stuff. Maybe my mother will be, like, I think she belongs in Paris at, what's that cathedral called? You know, the one that burned down? I can't think of it right now. So you're talking about keep your own knowledge, and I lost some. It'll come back to me. Hold on a minute. Praise the Lord. Me and Google remembered. Notre Dame. Okay, so I believe my mom belonged in, like, Notre Dame. As it is, she'd be walking in a courtyard and praying all the time, because ain't nothing wrong with that. Me being homeless for 645 days, after my dad made me homeless and defeated it, and, you know, being my granny, I'm just, like, kind of remembering and, you know, remember Granny, and, like, she prayed all the time too. Like, and it was just like, we were fine with it. We are fine with it. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. But my mom could be in Paris at Notre Dame, praying that she can remember, and praying that for better than ever complete recovery on her memory and knowledge in general. And maybe my mom, you know, it just has a temporary lapse where she kind of brain dead. Then maybe it just shoots up to, like, an all-time high, and, like, maybe my mom is, like, the genius helping the other boomers fix Notre Dame. Like, hopefully there'll be, like, you know, in 10 years, my mom will be in Notre Dame, and there'll be a plaque up there. She'll get, like, a blessing from the Pope, and the plaque will say Rita Kay, just her name, not all her last names, but just Rita Kay, fix Notre Dame. Thank you to Rita Kay. And she'll be, like, Catholic, maybe, and she'll just be praying, and she'll just be, like, you know, in Paris forever, or Motel 6 in Mongolia, doing a lot of the same stuff, because both of the places are two places with a WVU medicine chopper that completely unnecessary. My dad didn't fly in the WVU medicine chopper. He got there in an ambulance, but there's a WVU medicine chopper, and even on windy days, it can't get to Paris or Motel 6 in Mongolia. So those are the two places I've designated as family leader my mom could be. Okay, so knowing that Richard, basically what I said, remembering what I said about Richard being a bad influence, put it that way. Terrible. I'm mad at Richard, but I'm also, like, mad at Steve. Steve would be my first stepdad. Steve and I had a good run. We had basically a good relationship. He didn't like my brother as much, but, like, me and Steve overall we were a good team. And we still were. Even when I became, like, my mom divorced him in 2015, me and Steve were still in touch in 2024. He dropped off when I started mentioning on Facebook. But he dropped off when I started mentioning, you know, Steve wasn't always the best stepdad to me, because there was multiple times when his daughter, who was, like, drunk and pregnant, was, like, about to lose her home, and, like, there was one time Steve bought a trailer for, like, that's just a trailer, but it's still an expensive purchase. He bought that without even telling my mom, and he bought it for her. And, like, Brooke sold the money. Brooke sold the trailer for money. People get mad at me the way I talk. Just try being homeless and surviving it for 645 days, and just deal with, like, these little imperfections. I think you know what I mean. But just, you know, basically, see how I grew up? Like, we got people that are, like, I'm single, never married, 37 years old, 0 lifetime arrests, and then I got, like, family that nobody is at all like that. Surprise. I'm back at my bunk at the homeless shelter. I'm mad at Steve for doing that. You know, basically being good to me in person, but really, here's what I'm trying to say. Steve could still help. It's unlikely that he ever will, but, like, chances of my mom's mental recovery happening are lower than Steve's ability that he still has. He's a titanium boomer too, but he could be like, I hate the day that's been homeless, I'm going to help him. He could do that. He's probably not going to, but, like, you gotta remember this anger that I have. Like, I can't do much with it, but, like, it's on there, you know. So just think about that. But my mom said be the best 94, and I never forgot. So we're running on, like, a 94 chassis. A lot of it, yeah. So anyway, that's Steve, because he, like, was good to me in person, but then he took from the family coffers without really asking, or, like, you know, my mother was working, probably making more money than he was, honestly. She was. And then he, you know, just took wealth time and time again. You know, and they got divorced, and that costs a lot. But like Steve could still help. He could still be like, it's unlikely that my mother's mental recovery will happen or can happen. We have to hope and dream that it just, you know, she's the architect helping the architects at Notre Dame. It's where I like to think of my mom in the future. It helps me deal with Richard. Because here's how I really see anybody dealing with Richard in the future. Like, eventually Richard's gonna die if he hasn't already. Nobody can tell me for sure. He is like a smoker, and like he's in his 70s, so it's gonna happen no matter what. But it could have already happened. I don't know. The family's so out of touch with its family leader that it's like, see what I mean? It's just kind of like, I'm here demonstrating common sense as much as I can on YouTube for the whole world. So like later on, it'll matter. And I did. But I want to say that here's how I perceive Eleanor Roosevelt dealing with Richard. I imagine like the day Richard dies, we have to have like a tongue-in-cheek kind of like winky wink look at this kind of view. But like maybe that day there's a docket of like everybody that died, and God's just like, oh, Richard's on here. I don't want to deal with him. Take a day off. He's got to take a day off. He invented days. So again, like probably if he wants to, I bet it just happens. Right? Like First Lady Joe Biden, if she wanted my YouTube videos to be on that circular dome thing in Las Vegas, then I would instantly be bigger and larger than anything my dad ever painted. Like that. Not likely to happen, but if Joe Biden believes in it, it's gonna happen. Probably tonight, if she's wanted it to. You're right? So, anyway, I bet God will be like, I don't want to deal with, I'm taking the day off because I don't want to deal with Richard. Okay, you know, he's got purgatory duty, and he's just like, I ain't even want to deal with that. Like, Eleanor Roosevelt, you've been a really good woman down there in heaven, I mean, on earth, and you were good First Lady, and you've been a really good angel, and, you know, didn't I make you like the hottest angel ever? Like, you're hotter than Victoria's Secret angels. You're like 10 times hotter than Britney Spears. Like, we just made you the hottest angel there is, and you've been a really good one. You like been asking me if you could do purgatory. Do you want to do this? I'm taking a day off. And I bet Eleanor Roosevelt, who will be like, you know, Marilyn Monroe has probably been asking God, when can I be as hot as Eleanor Roosevelt? And he's like, you just keep doing your heavenly chores that I just made up for you, and we'll see about it. I bet that's been going on for like 50 years up in heaven. So I bet Eleanor Roosevelt is going to come out looking like Judge Judy, but like hotter than like we can imagine, and it'll be dealing with Richard Day in purgatory. And I bet like Eleanor Roosevelt will do a great job dealing with Richard. That's just kind of how I foresee all that happening. I bet on this day Eleanor Roosevelt is going to look kind of like the mother Richard knows. The first one he ever made a mother. I bet she's gonna look like that. She's gonna be like in Forever 21, encrusted in something better than diamonds. You know, it'd be like Forever 21, but it'd be like the deluxe heaven super duper of the future version. We don't even have any ability to wrap our heads around how hot Eleanor Roosevelt's gonna be dealing with Richard. That's just how I like to think, and that's where I place my like anger at Richard for what he did. Well, I'm pretty sure that he did. Like, just, that's how I dealt with it. Now you find a way to just hold on. And remember what Henry Ford said, here it comes.